That there are hundreds of breeds of sheep. Each breed of sheep has a different characteristic to its hair. And depending on what the sheep eats, it has a different characteristic. So a lot of the fibers that I have used in this installation are wool that is merino wool, which is a very fine wool. There is mohair from a goat. There is pelsol from a Norwegian breed. But I am really a kindergartner when it comes to all the different breeds of sheep. And one of my goals in the next few years is to learn to work with more fiber. Depending on the end use of my piece of work, I will choose within the range of fiber knowledge that I have, which is the best specified wool for me to work with. And I think the other thing that makes felt misunderstood is people don't realize it's not a singular kind of material, but rather a process that is a universe of fabric. So as you can see, I've made materials that are very thin and lightweight, and also fabric that is very thick and heavy, all having different purposes within the continuum of art or everyday use. Look at my notes here. So one of the things that I have learned to do is to listen to the fiber, experiment, make mistakes, and then try to go with what naturally wants to occur. There's almost 4,000 square feet of handmade felt in this piece. And it was very highly engineered and calculated. So when I started out, I came to the museum, measured everything, figured out from the entrance what I wanted that to look like, and just started working back. I knew that most critical thing for me was to give people the experience of walking into a world that they typically don't get to experience otherwise. Because art so often is in our face, and we can look at it, but we might be involved in it, but when it envelops you, it tends to make you look at your surroundings differently. And so that was one of the other reasons that when you look at it, there's a lot of openings, a lot of holes in it. And those are very conscious holes. I wanted to draw people through the work, and I wanted them to contemplate the negative and the positive space, just like the negative and positive space of these two pieces. They're both equal in a sense, but they both make you think about what your personal preference is. And those of you who've walked through the Chroma passage have seen some small stones that sort of filter out into the rock gardens. What I had done there is I took this extra fleece that was part of the window felt, which is the brightly colored Chroma sections, brought that along to wrap the stones that were already in the garden and help kind of inspire people to think about, is the color coming into the Chroma passage, or is the color going away from the Chroma passage, or maybe both? So I think I have pretty much covered what I was going to talk about in a nutshell. I want to offer you to ask questions, but also to let you know there is a video at the far end of the Chroma passage on the left that shows some detailed pictures of me working on these pieces as well as a time lapse, which is pretty hysterical to watch. If I could work that fast, I could have got twice as much done, maybe 5 times as much. Are there any questions? Yes.
The Chinese author of that quote is
Lao Tzu. Yes, TSU. It's written in the. It's been spelled a few different ways, but in the brochure, his name is written.
Where's your card?
There at the entrance, there should be a card.
Incredible.
Yes. Yes.
When did you first come to Grand Rapids to kind of look at the surroundings and?
Okay. The first time I came to Grand Rapids was this last April, right at the beginning of April, and I had heard about ArtPrize because a friend of mine had entered last year, and I thought if I'm going to do this, I want to have some affinity to the city and see if there's a venue that might really fit what I wanted to do because I knew I wanted an environment and I knew I wanted it to be light reactive. I had done a piece in New York called Palace Here that had great response because it was like people were almost coming to it and feeling healed by being surrounded by handmade textural things. And so I thought, the other thing that occurred to me was that we're in the heartland of farmland where there's raw materials are around everyone. And what a better place to raise awareness about this art form than in a place where I can support the farmers who are raising sheep. And so that brings me to the last thing I wanted to say. Next Tuesday,